Thinking of investing, working, or starting a business in the cannabis industry? We've got you covered right here on Plant Problems. Hosted by Tony Frischknecht, Plant Problems takes a different approach to cannabis than what you're seeing and hearing from the mainstream media. Come along with Tony and be in the know about how to invest, work, or start a cannabis business. Let's get the show started with your host, Tony Frischknecht.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Plant Problems. Thank you guys so much for being here and listening in today. For those of you out there that are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe if you like what you're listening to today. Well, also, I guess I should say, first of all, I want to thank all you guys out there. You guys have been around listening, some of you, for the last year, and I've had quite a bit of different information that I put out there. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you guys are enjoying what you're listening, please help us here at Plant Problems. We want to try to bring you more great shows and episodes, along with getting you new information. And the best way you can do to just help us out, give us an idea of what more you want to hear of and what you like. It'd be great. So please visit us at plantproblem.com and let us know what you like and what you want us to continue with or dig into deeper. Our goal here at Plant Problems is to become one of the number one podcasts in cannabis that we can. And cannabis is a different area. So it's real challenging for us to do our advertising just because we have to do with cannabis. So whatever you guys can share with us, we really appreciate it. Okay, now, today, there's some pretty awesome stuff that's happening right now. And there's always a lot of things happening and ups and downs in cannabis, but we're starting to see some momentum. And so today I'm going to share with you a couple of incredible stocks that I've seen just over the last few weeks. One of them has actually seen about 134% gain since Christmas time. So when you guys are listening to this here, probably about 4 weeks out. And then there's another one that is gained about 24%. Now, that's not extremely huge. However, in just a couple weeks' time, we're seeing momentum happening like that. So before I discuss that, though, before I share those names with you, I want to give you guys the top 3 things to be looking for when you're choosing cannabis stocks. Some of the stuff that I look at when I'm choosing, to buy. Now, of course, you can go to ETFs, right? ETFs are good because they spread your risk throughout tons of different stocks, tons of different cannabis stocks. However, from what I've seen is the only way you're going to make some real money is if you centralize it. So this is good for risk. So if you are, depending on your risk, your tolerance for risk, an ETF may be a better choice for you. What's nice about an ETF is that they're professionally managed. So you have companies that are adding and subtracting different cannabis companies to create a better portfolio in the end, and of course a better return. But you're also going to have winners and losers in the same one. So if you're going to lose, it's not going to be that bad because you have some winners. So it kind of balances it out. Diversification, everybody always talks about it. Problem with diversification is you can never really hit big. When I say hit big, I mean some stocks out there that are doubling, tripling, quadrupling, 10x. You don't generally see that in an ETF. It's quite a bit of a slower growth. Now, however, with the volatility of cannabis, we're going to see some pretty significant growth, but just not as much as you would see in one stock. Of course, the downside of that, if you go with one stock and your stock that you choose takes a big dive, you're going to see that as well. So, when you're going into this, understand the volatility that you're dealing with in cannabis. If you're just starting, the volatility swings are pretty big. You're talking with dollar volume, you could see 10, 20, $30 swings in one day. And if you're not used to that and waiting that out, maybe an ETF is a better option for you. The mental game with volatility is something that you have to work up to. And if you are used to trading stocks, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. So, guys, next thing is do your homework. There are hundreds of companies out there claiming to be the biggest cannabis company in the world or in the US, either one. They're all so different. What I suggest is you find 2 or 3 that you like and follow them for a few weeks. See if you can see that there is some stability or somewhat of a gain. So just follow them, look at them. Don't jump in and buy right away. If you like them too, while you're following them, you need to go look in, dig up their current financials. So what they did in 2020 last year is pretty significant and telling. You should be able to see some growth. If you're not seeing growth in them over 2020, I would probably stay away from them. 2020 has been a massive growth year for cannabis. With the lockdown, we saw huge sales happening. If you guys aren't familiar with Connell Rosenbaum, I've had him on the show a couple different times. He's a wholesaler, so we've been discussing the different numbers there. Shout out to you, Connell. And we've been discussing these different numbers, what sales he has been doing as a wholesaler, and they've been massive. So the market is definitely taking an upswing in legalization in Colorado. We're seeing huge growth. Also, some of the other states that are launching, they're still seeing very high pricing for their product wholesale wise too. So everything's kind of up right now, and I'm in a lot of markets. So keep that in mind. So I have a warning I want to share with you guys too. So these companies, most of them have only been listed for a few years. So they have short track records. That's one thing that makes it nervous to invest in cannabis stocks. So there are going to be some stuff that comes up over the next couple years where these guys are going to be getting into financial trouble. They're not going to be recording things right. They're going to be making some big mistakes. So this comes along with the growth of a new industry. And we've seen it happen. I've been investing in cannabis stocks since 2016, and I've seen it happen over the last few years, but now we're getting into a point where we're seeing some large consolidation happening, and they call them MSOs, so multi-state operators. So these guys are going to make some mistakes. So again, back to do your homework, make sure you keep an eye on your companies as you invest, and make sure you understand the financials moving forward. So always keeping keeping your eye on what they are doing on a quarterly basis. What we're seeing is there's consolidation happening with some of these big companies. And so as they merge with other companies, there's going to be some issues with transitional issues in creating one big company. And so if they're going to be able to adapt fast enough, then you should be able to see that in their growth of their sales, because they're going to be fluid with each other and working well together and creating a stronger bottom line at the end of the day. Of course, what we look at is always bottom line at the end of the day, right? Well, where is the profitability? So with those 3 things said, I want to give you what you guys came for, what you're waiting for. So the big company that has been smashing through some huge points over the last few weeks is Tilray. Now, Tilray was actually one of the very first ones to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. And this was back in 2016. And they saw a big gain, huge gain. They were at one point when Canada went legalized in October of 2016. They actually shot up there after a month of legalization. They were pushing close to $330 per share, which was insane. People were going nuts. Their stock actually went down to $2.43. So where it sat for quite a long time, it sat under the $10 mark until just recently. We saw it over double, so 134% increased over about a 3-week time period. It has been, I think a lot of this has come from Aphria, which is a huge company, that another big cannabis company, and they are preparing to complete a merger of the two companies. Tilray stock is going to be the one that actually will continue the name on the stock exchange. So keep an eye on that one. Right now, I think it's trading at about $18.50, $19. Had you got in at $2.43, you would be extremely happy right now. There are a few that have, but they waited because the volatility definitely changed. So they've had to be patient. So patience is a big part of this. The other one that I really see has some huge potential and its growth is happening is Cresco Labs Inc. They raised over the last few weeks, they were pushing close to 30% in gains, which is huge. I mean, they sat at a long time. They were in the $2 mark and they shot up to $8. Well, it went from 8 to 14 in just a few weeks, and it's kind of stabilized a little bit. But I see that our future is going to be bringing both these companies some significant growth. And due to the climate that's happening in cannabis right now, there are a number of things that are happening to create a perfect storm in cannabis. What I mean by that, politically, we have Biden and Kamala coming into office here very soon. Democrats, okay? So politically, cannabis is seeing, we're looking at the future of having the tiebreaker in the Senate. Now, a lot of the reason why we haven't been able to pass any cannabis laws through the Senate is because Mitch McConnell's out. It's 50-50, Republican, Democrat. And now that we see the tiebreaker is going to be the presidency. So Kamala, she's going to be the one that comes in and pushes some of these regulations and rules. She will be a big proponent in pushing some of these bills through the Senate, which is awesome for the cannabis people. That has been something that we've been waiting for quite some time now. Throughout the whole presidency of Trump, we've kind of been on edge because it's so far right. Fortunately enough, Trump has been able to, he's had a lot of other trouble he could cause in other places, and it didn't happen to be cannabis, which is great for us. I'm happy about that. The second thing is sales, just like I mentioned before, have been soaring in 2020. I mean, you guys out there that are in the industry right now that are selling on a day-to-day basis, I imagine you're seeing exactly what I'm talking about. Another thing we're seeing is institutional investors. They're starting to pour in the market. That's why I think we're seeing this growth happening. They understand some of the stuff that is coming regulation-wise and politically, and they're like, okay, it's time. Now, for those of you who haven't invested in small stocks or just very new stocks, Once you see these guys start piling in at these rates, then you'll see this price getting driven up, and you don't want to be the one that sits on the very last end of it and be like, oh yeah, I want to get in now, because you're usually buying it at the top. That's not the time to buy in. That's why I believe more than ever right now is the time to get involved in some cannabis stock purchases. So there's just a couple names that I gave here to you guys, but get involved somehow. If you are looking at cannabis investments, get involved in some stocks somehow soon. 2021, nobody can predict if it's going to go legalized or get rescheduled on a federal level, but it could. And the momentum we're seeing, it's just a matter of when, right? I know we've been saying that for a while, but some of you are going to be shocked when legalization happens federally. And you're going to be like, man, I can't believe it happened. Well, for those of you who are new to cannabis, it's been legalized in Colorado for more than 8 years at this point. 8 years, about a decade. We just had, during the election, we had several states that legalized: Montana, Arizona, and then I think there was South Dakota. There's a couple other ones. I can't remember exactly, but there's a couple more. But we're seeing that momentum and that wave. We're over that 60% threshold throughout the U.S. So it's happening. You don't want to buy it when we're at 90 or 100 because it's a for sure thing. So step in now and take advantage of listening to this podcast and do something about it, okay? I don't care what stock you guys jump into, but look at something and take advantage of this opportunity. There's not a whole lot of time left. I'm telling you, once these go big, the stocks are going to be out of reach for most investors. Right now, you can get in for $10, $20 on a stock that is easily going to go hit 100. And then it's beyond. I mean, if you could find, everybody uses this analogy, but the next Amazon. Well, if you could find the next Amazon of cannabis, your couple $1,000 investment could turn into millions if you can hang on to that. So remember that. This is a time to take some risk. Even if you have $1,000, that could turn into hundreds of thousands over the next 5 years. As every state adapts and every state legalizes, it is going to build this multi-billion dollar business across the US and across the world. And there are companies that have been working in this market through Canadian companies that are truly American companies that are really ready to explode. They can't wait. And once this institutional money gets all inputted into the cannabis economy, you're going to see these companies explode and be able to take and reinvest in these companies. They're going to start taking over the industry quickly. So it's hard for me to think, because starting as a small store grow owner and looking at where it's going to be hard for the small mom and pops to compete. They have their areas. Hopefully you've picked a good area. If you're listening to this right now, I don't want to wish anything bad towards you and your business. I think if you're smart, there's still ways to make it in this industry, but you got to make sure you align yourself correctly. Guys, I truly believe that if you guys spend some time and focus on a couple stocks in cannabis, it's going to change some of your guys' lives. I know it has mine, and I want to see the same for you. So please go check some of these out. Do your homework. Make sure you stay focused and always watch your investment. Thank you so much for listening to me today. Plant Problems really appreciates all that you guys bring and everything that you're bringing me. So Guys, I will see you again next week for a new episode of Plant Problems. And of course, reach out to us at plantproblem.com. And we look forward to hearing any comments or concerns that you may have. Please let us know. We really look forward to it. All right. See you guys next time.
You've just listened to another insightful episode of Plant Problems. If you like what you heard so far, don't forget to tell your friends and colleagues. For additional resources or to leave a review, head over to plantproblem.com. Join us again next week on Plant Problems with Tony Frischknecht. We look forward to having conversations with you as we go along this journey.